All right, welcome to Group Chart Analysis. It is Wednesday. Yep, Wednesday, August 29th, 2018. We're actually looking at GU right now. The reason, we had GU skyrocket last night on the news, and I started looking at the higher time frames just now, like looking at what could be the possible reason. And it just actually bounced right off of the 61.8 from the weekly. And if you guys remember my analysis from earlier this week or last week, I told you that it shifted earlier this year down here when we were looking at this drop, and it never pulled back to the catch up yet, right? Normally when it does reversals like this, it typically will come back to hit the catch up. Well, it hasn't done that yet. So that's why I was saying that this actually could possibly be the reversal for the push up towards that catch up. So it did end up doing that. I thought last night that it would possibly shoot back down and form some sort of pattern. It did not. This was actually the only pair that pretty much shot the fuck up as high as it did out of my four pairs, which were EU, Gold, GU, and AU. So GU was like pretty much the only pair that really decided to shoot up like this. What I'm seeing is there's a couple things here that could happen, right? So it's hitting the water on the daily. It is coming out, and there's two scenarios. So right now, I don't think it's a good idea to touch anything because of this. It's coming out of the volatility band, and it's over the stationary 50. It's hitting that water, which is the perfect pullback zone. What could happen here is if this has happened before, is that it can form a slight shark fin back down towards the oversold zone. Hence, this would consolidate for a couple days and then reverse back down to this low. That's a possibility. The only way I can say this is going to be a continued push is if this breaks the water. You guys know that for reversals. If this reverses, the first EMA it has to break for it to be a nice valid buy would be the water. And the same happens for the daily time frames, daily, weekly, monthly. It's the same shit. So if it breaks it, then we'll look for that pullback, that retracement, that wick for it to go back up to the next EMA, which would be the Mayo. So those are your two possibilities. Either it's going to reject this water and it could shoot back down tonight to form. You can either consolidate tonight and not move at all, and then on Friday it could drop down for it to form an evening star in the water, which is still technically a soft trade, right? Or it could just shoot down tonight and form one big railroad right on the water right there. And if it does, it's going back down. Right? Those are the two patterns that you would look for in the daily when it comes to this pair. The only other thing it would do is break this water and then continue up towards that Mayo. Right? So how do we dictate that? You go back down to the 4 hour. The one thing I'm seeing is that it's overbought and it's divergent. So if we see here, notice my line starts right here. The white line over towards where the RSI is right now is still beneath where this part had touched before. So you have this divergence that is showing us that this is, and it's shark finning, mind you, it's outside the volatility band. This has a possibility of coming back down. It doesn't look like it because of how hard it pushed. But GBPs and CAD pairs throw the most railroads where they'll go up that high and reverse back down the next day. They can fucking do that the next week, within the week. So there's a couple setups we can be seeing. Let's go to the hour. Right now, it's just going to consolidate. Hour is completely overbought, and I believe for a short term we might be able to see this thing drop for a retest. That's a possibility. So it's shark finning right now. Let me see if I can find something on the 15-minute. Divergent on the 15-minute. So if this thing continues, it will go down towards that water, bounce off it, and continue. Now, normally the water wouldn't pull back all the way. What's going to happen is the water would come up to this area here, and as it's moving up, what you're going to see price do is just sit here. You just consolidate until it hits that water, and then decides to shoot up. Right? So that's what happens. If price goes like this, it typically will either pull back or go up. Right? That's an uptrend. But sometimes what these GBP pairs do is they'll shoot up, and instead of pulling back, it'll just consolidate on that level. wait for the EMAs to catch up, and then it'll shoot back up again. Because it's either going to consolidate or pull back. In this case, I don't think it's really going to be pulling back. I just think it's going to consolidate until it gets to that point where the water meets the price, and then it's going to shoot up again if it doesn't reverse. Now, if there's news again tonight, this could push it back down all the way down. But I don't know. I don't really see it happening, especially how we just looked in the weekly and it said that there's it had the 61.8, and it still has to hit that catch up. So there's things we just got to wait for. So be really careful on this pair. Understand that it just had a big move and that some of these other pairs can start doing it too. So that's GU. Let me go to EU real quick. So EU, we were looking for this in the BA head and shoulders. It dropped here during the London session. And so I know some people caught these trades. They brought it down to a sell, which is nice. But it pulled back up during that news this morning, but it didn't take out that peak. So this is still valid for some sort of little head and shoulders here if you're looking at the 15-minute. It's divergent over here on the side. So this is, you have price hitting a stagnant wall with a shark fin. You have price going up here. It just broke out of the volatility band to the downside. Still has to touch that stationary 50. So this is going to shoot down towards that stationary 50 like this. And it's either going to, like I said, either going to ride that water and it could continue up, or it could break it, pull back, and then continue down for the head and shoulders overall. Let's look at this weekly. I don't know. Let's do this. Right there. So it's at the 50. It pulled back. It's not really divergent. Doesn't show me a lot. Daily. It's outside the volatility band. But it's also no trend. This could consolidate right where it's at and then take a drop, or it could continue because there is no trend. I believe this thing that was going to drop a little bit farther than it did. I still think this thing will drop, but overall continue. I wanted to see it hit this blueberry, but because of all these pins and the patterns we're seeing, I believe this thing's getting just ready to just drop down, hit that water, and then continue up. Because that water, as this thing is consolidating, the water is slowly still moving upwards. So by the time it gets to that point, it could drop, bounce off that water, and then we'll see the next continuation push up to end the week. Right? So that's what you got to keep in your mind. I believe this thing still has room to shoot up. I just think that before it does, it's got to pull back a little bit. That's why. So just be ready for this little tiny pattern to make its move, and then possibly look for those buys. I'm going to say the same thing on gold as well. I still think gold has a little bit of room to drop. Weekly. So the weekly just threw a railroad. I think it could stop on a little bit, maybe drop a little bit more, but if not, this thing will continue up. It is out of the oversold zone with this thing is continuing up. This is 100% going up. Based off of the news this morning and how things adjusted, this thing is completely going up. Before it does, it might come down towards that water and then shoot up. So that's the 4 hour. Let me go to this 1 hour. It is divergent. So I think it might come down right now, tonight. Once it drops down to this point, y'all are going to be looking for that buys back up. That's your next setup. Drop, rise, right back up to that blueberry. So you guys can place pendings at this low, right? If you want, you can do like a pending like right here. Put a pending like right there. Be like 1200.25. And then look for a buy. AU. There it goes. Motherfucker's dropping right now. This is the drop I was predicting. But it dropped. So it did drop last night, which was, wait, is this right? Yeah. So it did drop last night. AU. Hold on. This doesn't seem right. There we go. All right, it was right. So we had it going for a drop last night. It dropped heavy. It pulled back, and it's dropping again. This thing is going to drop all the way back down to that low. And Notice how I still think it actually could reverse, but I still think it's going to shoot down overall. Let's see. Another reason would be this. About there. So this is the trend line it had, and it broke it to like perfectly. So if we do this, not that. So it's dropping down, but it could be due for that pullback. Let's see. Still a downtrend. That's why it's dropping right now. There's 3 minutes till news. I don't know what the news is, but it says it's the private capital what is it? Expenditure. It's dropping right now. I think this thing's going to keep going down to this recent low here. And then we'll see it kind of get ready for some sort of reversal because there is no trend ideally at this very moment short term. So look for it to keep dropping back down towards the low that it created here. And then you can look for a get out position. But this thing has already made its move. And I don't know what this news is going to do. I don't know if it's good or bad news. It could shoot it all the way back up again. The trend, there is no trend right now, so like anything could really happen. But I believe that it will continue down just from a technical aspect. All right, just from a technical aspect. We'll come back to this in 2 minutes. I want to see how it comes out. We'll make an adjustment. YouTube has been dropping all week, just as predicted. The first goal was for it to get down to the daily blueberry, which it did. So this is the point where we had told people to sell it, and it literally dropped right to the blueberry. Take profit was right on target. The weekly, I still think you guys have plenty of room to sell it. Keep selling it. This thing is nonstop going to be moving. So wait for some consolidation, and then pull back on the lower time frame, say the 15-minute, and you guys can keep selling it. Notice how it's been riding it. Just see what it does here. If it doesn't take out the blueberry, if it doesn't take out the mayo or the water or the mayo, you're selling it. So stop on high, drop. Simple as that. Where we'll do something like this. It's either gonna go up to that water and then ride it and then drop, or it's gonna go up to that 144, then ride it, then drop, or that mayo, ride it, drop. But you're looking for that continued drop. You can. Let's see. This one's consolidating. I think we had it for a pullback up and then a drop again, but ideally I wasn't really paying attention. It went down to the mayo, which is where we had the first initial target. It's now oversold. Hit that water. Right on target. So that's what we had last night. It was a continuation drop. Uh-oh. My charts are frozen, meaning something's happening to AU. There's AUD news. Oh, shit. It just tanked again. AU is tanking right now. Holy shit. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lord. Right on cue. You guys see this shit? Oh, I'm trying to look at it. My charts on my goddamn computer are frozen, but look at it go. Oh, my God. Look at it. Right to the low. I was like, it's going right to the low. Oh, this is great. Was anybody in that? Nobody? I know Nathan was. Oh, somebody just placed something. Dude, this thing is still dropping. It wicked right to the bottom. Hold on. Let's see. To a T? To a fucking T. Look at that. Right at the wick. Right at the bottom. That's some gnarly shit, dude. That's some gnarly shit. Yeah, right? You heard that trade? Damn. This just put it right back into perspective. That's going all the way down. I think I had this thing going down to the my take profit was is EA flying? That means EA's rising. That means EA's rising. Oh Lord. That thing is continuing. Some next level shit right there. Oh, there. That was me taking profit. I feel you. Yep. Perfect setup. Be careful though, because look at that wick. So just be careful. At least you guys saw it. So, all right, what's UCAD doing? I'm gonna say the same thing. It's getting to that point though. It could consolidate a little bit longer than expected. I think this thing could pull back. Because if you're seeing this, look at this from the daily. In a channel. And it's hitting it. Hit that low, reverse back up, hit that high. 4 hour, it's a little divergent, but nothing crazy. Daily, going divergent W. Best way for this to be a buy. Breaks the water, pulls back, goes up. If it doesn't break it, and hit it, drop back down. That's all you're waiting for. You're waiting for it to see what it does when it gets to this point, all right? So you're not touching it right now. Just wait for it to hit that water and then see if it breaks it for the continuation rise, or see if it doesn't, throws wicks in the railroad and then drops. UJ. UJ. Heyo. Look at that. Finally fucking rose. Anybody hold that? Anybody grab that? That thing was from yesterday. That was a perfect setup. Consolidated for a little bit more than expected, but ultimately it broke that trend line that we had and consolidated through that nice W right on the blueberry. Shot up during news. So that was a perfect play out. Now I believe UJ is going to keep rising. So you guys had that going. Yep. Caught off the 1 hour. Nice. This is the setup. This was a good one. 1 hour. I have a feeling this thing's going to be good. This is still going to be rising. You're still looking for buys on UJ. That's it. Stop, hunt low, rise. Trap more traders, rise. That's it. That's what you're looking for. GJ, damn. This thing was long overdue. I could see it. This is my phone. Hold on. Damn. So what this thing is going to be reversing back all the way up as well, because if you see the divergence on the 4 hour one was divergent, but this thing is going all the way back up. It just went right back towards that trend line that it broke last week. Oh shit. Okay. 4 hour. Yeah, this thing's continuing to rise. Look for the continuation, guys. Stop hunt low rise. That's it. This thing is bound to keep going up. So we're going to bought, but that's right off of this line, this whole supply and demand zone. Yeah, this is going to keep rising. Look for buy, stop hunt low, buy. We shall see. All right, let's look at EA. Nathan, what'd you say? Stack the fuck out of EA for a sell. Oh, you're saying sell speed? We should see. This could be one more stop hunt for a drop. It's hitting that zone right now. It's hitting this actually. Come on. Right there. Two. We can look for the sells, but I would wait too. Because if this thing's going to drop, it will set up for a pattern. It will. Still divergent on the 4 hour. Hours looking good. I believe it will drop. Overall, I think this is just another push up for the stop hunt. But wait for this thing to close. Wait for it to consolidate, because if this does what I think it's going to do, it'll do this. Then it will drop. So you'll see it tank, consolidate, rise back up. If it rises back up and doesn't take out this wick right here, you can sell it. It's in a nice zone. Literally, it's not even just a zone for a supply and it's not just a support resistance line. It's like literally supply and demand. It's perfect, right in it. So just be careful. But I do like it. GA shot the fuck up too. Oh, God. Hitting the station at 50. Hopefully, could still technically drop. This could just be a pullback. Rises up. This thing could still take a little dip. Just see what happens here. Before it does anything, I think it still needs to drop back down to test this area. Just be on the lookout for GA. It correlates with EA, so see what happens with GA. And if you notice AU as well, AUD, USD, you'll notice some kind of movements on here. So check out whatever AUD, USD does, and you'll be able to tell exactly what EA and GA are going to be doing too. G-Chief. So we have this for a continued drop. The news, I didn't see any GBP news, which was weird. All I saw was, AUD. All I saw was USD news. So this thing shot up. This could have just been a pullback, honestly, the way it's at and where it's at on the 4 hour. This could have been news, but this could still be, this is still valid. It didn't break the water yet. This could still drop. The only way you guys are going to be buying this is what? If it breaks that water. This is the 4 hour. So it's either going to break it hard, then pull back, or it's going to just consolidate a little bit more, a little bit above it, and then you can look for that buy. The best way to do that is to go to the hour. So if this drops, it could just hit that water and then reverse back up, or drop, hit that water, hit the Mayo, hit the water, hit the Mayo, hit the water, hit the Mayo, consolidate, then rise, or consolidate, then drop. There's multiple things that can happen. The one thing I want you guys to do right now is just wait for it to drop towards that water. Right? Once it does that, if it doesn't break it, you'll see it come back up towards that Mayo for a quick scalp, or it's going to rise back up all the way and form a new high. So pay attention to that. It's not my favorite pair, But I think this thing's going to get ready to do some sort of sell, and then we'll see it rise again. But I ultimately still have it dropping. So that's what we're looking at. Let's see what E is doing. I think E is going to drop again tonight, and then look for a buy. Gold's going to drop, then look for that buy after it pulls back. GBP USD rose, but I think it's going to pull back a little bit and then rise again. AUD USD just dropped heavy. It's wicking. And it is due for some sort of pullback overall as well. I hope you guys see this. Here's the trend line. Could pull up to that trend line and then eventually make the drop. So it's setting up. Setting up. All right, cool. So anybody got any questions real quick? Not, I'm going to put this up on YouTube. I forgot to put the other one up yesterday. I apologize. I'll put this one up. I'm literally about to just sit here until it's done and then post it, and you guys can grab it. So we can kind of go from there. Do you have USD index on this broker? I don't think so. Oh, I do. I have the US index here. Check out the 4 hour. They threw 4 hour stops earlier to drop. That morning evening star could be. It's outside the volatility band. It's breaking that water. This could drop. I think it could drop down to that water on the weekly. Makes sense. Back down to that blueberry. Yeah, it makes sense. If this drops, and this just validates that the US dollar is going to keep that Euro USD, gold, GU, and AU are going to continue to rise. So just look for a pullback on this and then wait for the continued drop because I think it will. So good call. Yep. All right, guys. I will talk to you guys tomorrow for the last day of the week, and we'll get this shit popping. So be safe in the markets tonight. Watch for the perfect setups and grab those pips. Talk to you guys later. Peace.